Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining our live stream on this beautiful Friday afternoon. I think everybody thinks that if he's being asked what's the foundation of innovation, most of the people will answer creativity. You need creative minds to develop innovations, but what if this is the wrong assumption or only a part of the story? This is what Adrian and I will discuss today. And first of all, hello, Adrian.
How are you today? Everyone. Hello, Kai. Thanks for the cold opening.
Yeah, so cold opening is important even on the hot temperatures outside, but it's not so hot anymore like last week. But we are not here to talk about the weather or about football championships or whatever. We talk about innovation. And so Adrian, maybe you do a short introduction about your background first, that our audience can sort it in kind of a storage, to understand maybe better some of our topics we are discussing later.
Yeah, so it would be too easy to say I'm a leadership person. So I'm actually here for now nearly 20 years as a self-entrepreneur, or let's say an entrepreneurial person who is in the software industry very active. So I had my own companies. I still have my own company, and I'm always keen to help other people. So right in the middle of my journey, I found out that it is not enough for me to just do my business. I want to help others as well, because I have suffered so much from all sorts of issues I have caused by myself, to others, that I wanted to find, or actually find ways to help others prevent doing the same things. And on some point in time, it clicked, and it was all about leadership, self leadership, and the leadership, in the relation with other people. And those are the things we need to work on. And so it came to be that I started to stream about that for now several years, different formats, different things. And I think that um, if you really want to change something about that and grow in leadership, self-reflection and the reflection inside, or let's say in form of content and discussions, panel discussions like this, are essential, because if you don't do that, you don't really bother with those things, and you don't really change those things. That's one of the reasons why so many things had actually changed in my life, how I tackle things. Back in the days when I was streaming as Snackable CTO, I was very much about practical things like why continuous delivery, why agile, these kind of things. But they were way too much surface level for real leadership. Real leadership happens next to the human condition and habits, between those both layers. And that is what I specialize today on. This is the reason why you can see Stoic Tech Mentor. It's because I'm a Stoic, I'm a practitioner. So, which means that I use Stoicism to help other people, and myself, of course, to find better ways to deal with leadership issues, and with issues you might have with your own mind as well. That's who I am. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, great. Thanks for the intro. Yeah, maybe some words about my background also. I'm 53, and I love to evolve myself. Yeah, my goal is to get better every day, at least a little percentage. Yeah, so I'm technically, I have a background as a mechanical engineer. I was in the automotive industry for nearly a quarter of a century, and I'm running my own business since the end of 2023, and both helping, on a technical side, or technical aspect, helping startups to develop innovative stuff. And on the other hand, I'm doing management, sparring, and one of these topics is also leadership. And I did a lot and experienced a lot of innovation projects in the past. And also, this is where I'm working today, about closing the gap between innovation and also the economic results, that taking care that these results and the results of the innovation keep in balance and are not running far away from each other. And so coming back to the topic, Adrian is coming more from the software perspective, software development perspective. I'm from the hardware perspective. Maybe define first what's an innovation for you. What do you define, or how do you define an innovative, let's say, software or other topic? Is it just the next gadget that does fancy stuff, or what's inside in innovation?
It's actually a good question. So Emir does have a little bit of a question here, right, as well, like what is innovation, and he has some ideas about that. And innovation, there is novum in it, so which means that there is something new. We're talking about creating something which wasn't there before. In order to create something, of course, we need to produce it. of course we need to build it on some point, but we need to get to the point of the idea of what that actually is, to the vision. The vision, that's the interesting part. We always talk about focus and we need to be focused on things. But the real issue is that while we are focused on something specific, we actually are not very creative about other things because we are focused. That's the point of being focused, which means that defocus is very often important to get to the point where we get new ideas or get a team to have new ideas, finding new ways to work, finding the next thing to build, finding the next actual useful feature to use. And that is, you know, in a progress, we are mostly in a progress. When we are software development, we are mostly in creating new features, working down feature requests, support, or something like that. But in order to actually improve everything, we need to have something new. We need to have a new idea, the next version, something which changes the game for others, which solves a new problem, which just came up or something like that. And for that, we need to have free room where this new thing can emerge. And that new thing is the innovation. In my opinion, that is how I personally define it. And by explaining that, I think we quickly get to the point how easy it is to suppress that if we force people into artificial focus on deadline after deadline after deadline without breathing room to actually get to finding these new things. Was that an adequate explanation?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So if I summarize it in my words, it has to be something real new. And when I compare it to my background, in yeah, when Tesla started doing their Model S, everybody was in the whole automotive industry was looking at Tesla and saying, "Oh, they are so innovative. They have this big screen on the center console." It was like a big iPad. I don't know the exact inch number anymore, but it was huge, and everybody was every car brand was talking to their designers and said, "Hey, we have to integrate bigger displays." And so they defined innovation for themselves. It's yeah, in enlarging a screen from 10-inch to maybe 11.1-inch, and but this is for me and also for your explanation. It's not an innovation; it's just an improvement of an existing solution. And what also was interesting in yeah, talking to a lot of car manufacturers in these days. So they had then bigger screens, or they added a second screen somewhere in order to, yeah, not copy, but let's say to follow the Tesla way. Because it was yeah, it was a success story these days. And then the next question was a few weeks later, yeah, which kind of content should we provide to the user in the second display, or in this 2 inches more? Do we do the navigation arrow just a little bit bigger, or do we add some other fancy stuff? And so for me, it's also crucial that if you think of an innovation, you have to think from the customer perspective, and then bring a benefit to the customer. And then it doesn't matter of screen size or of computing power or whatever. Let's say it has to improve the life of the customer.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you mentioned something important. It needs to improve something, right? The more inch is not necessarily improving the life. It is taking more space. So it does have both sides, but it doesn't really serve a new purpose than before. But I think what you just said, plus that you now actually, so people say Tesla is actually a software company now. It's not a hardware, they do hardware as well, but now they basically can, via normal software deployment, deploy another piece of software while you are driving into your system, like continuous delivery, like we know that from software development, what was mentioned before that. That is an innovation, because now they can basically repair your car while you're talking to them. That is new, for example. And that happens because you have this display, which is a full computer. And when I compare that, I have a cross camp, which is basically a different type of car. It is a camper van. And yeah, we drive a camper van as a primary car we have, because I love it. But it is technically so Stone Age when it comes to comparing it to the interior. But that would be, if we would have that there as well, that would be a huge improvement. The children will love it. We will love it, to have more flexibility in terms of what is actually possible there. And that is what I really see as innovation. I agree. That was a very good example.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for this addition. But then let's come to our main topic. So a lot of people would answer the question, what's the essence of innovation, or what's the foundation of innovation? With creativity, I think. And what I mentioned already, just improve or enlarging a screen size, or adding more computing power to a CPU or something like that. That's not innovation. So and I think creativity is definitely one of the topics, or the fundamental parts to do an innovation. But as we also teased in the description of this live stream, it's all about leadership, because it's depending that you are able to lead a team to innovate. I think these times of Einstein are gone. That one genius is sitting on his desk and thinking and innovating and sketching, and then he comes out and says, "Oh, I found the global formula how the world works. I found I explored or found electricity," or whatever. It's more and more teamwork, and it's a teamwork of a team which is very diverse in terms of the technical backgrounds. So I think you have to, if you're talking about a product, innovative product, you need hardware guys, you need HMI guys, so human machine interface guys, who take care that the user is feeling comfortable with this solution pretty fast. You need software guys, and an end. What's your impression of that, Adrian?
I just had a question for Amy in the audience. Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah. So I talked about the team, how the team has to be, or of which that the innovation team has to consist of more than one technical background, so that you need hardware guys, software guys, maybe also kind of psychology background, how the user will use the product and later. And,
I think that the real issue is that a single person can at maximum have a vision of something, and that is what I see in modern software development as well. You can have this rough vision of a solution for an issue, or for something that actually drives forward the state current, right? But there are so many steps in between where you need to have like innovation inside the innovation. I guess hard to explain, but as you said, so you have the people working on a car frame, the people working on the actual software, working on the actual delivery. How do you make it, for example, possible that a car can receive updates while driving? That alone is something which was nearly impossible 10 to 15 years ago to actually achieve in some way. There are multiple steps in between that this is actually now well possible in the world, right? So you need to have some stuff even outside of the car to make that possible. And you need to have enough bandwidth available on the streets to make that possible. You need to have a car which can do that and is safe at the same time, and those kind of things. So I think that innovation needs to happen. So that's the reason why we talk often about ownership. We often talk about that people need to have this bottom-up approach where you need to give freedom to the engineers, to the people, to the designers working on specific aspects where they think, oh, this, okay, we understand the vision, but we need to change this, right, in order to make that happen. So we need to innovate in our space, disconnected from the others, but aligned with the same vision and mission. And that is what is new. What you had the comparison to Einstein, where you say that the single person. So I think that first of all, Einstein wasn't going, or the others like Newton or so, they wasn't just going somewhere and coming out with something. I think that was a long progress until they got to the point, and suddenly that clicked in that night. And that is the same for companies as well. I think that a team works on something every day, which means that the engineers working on a car, the engineers working on a software, they need to know the product, they need to know the client, they need to know the people driving cars. So it is much easier when an engineer drives the car, the prototypes themselves, to see, okay, that's actually cool or not, or you know what, it is so ugly to have this like this, let's change it. And the other sees that that is a form of innovation, stepwise, small steps innovation. And I think that we shouldn't have that many people in between the person who, or the team who does the innovation and the later execution of that, and the people thinking about this kind of things. Because the more hierarchy you have, the higher the power distance index is, the lower the actual innovation and responsibility feeling of the people is actually there. So let the people, let the engineers work closer with the actual client who does have the pain points to make the better product, which is then the modern innovation, in my opinion, because it is so complex. So let the people do their specific things and improve, instead of try to have the overarching idea of the master of puppets who can control everything from the head office, right? There are some questions. Want to go for a question? Because the question goes a little bit into your direction with nanotechnologies, because I don't understand anything about those things.
Yeah, I think there will be some areas where nanotechnology will be used. If we're thinking about nano, how is it called? Kind of a layer on a windscreen, for example, at a vehicle, that water is peeling up and not so. The windscreen is getting clean or keeping clean also in wet conditions. I could imagine that there will be some areas where nanotechnology will be used. I think also in the electronic side, if you think of nano fibers, which will be able to combine a lot on a smaller volume, like copper cables or glass fiber cables. But it's always in the automotive industry, it's let's say it's a traditional industry, and they are also cautious in this case is also good, because you are trusting the product, you are trusting the technology you are using, and you won't have any bad surprises like the engine not running anymore,
exploding cars while charging,
and like that, or it doesn't have to explode, but if you imagine, let's say your wife is back from a nice evening with friends, and driving through the forest, and in the most dark part of the road, the car doesn't work anymore. Then Murphy's Law is hitting hard, and you don't have internet connection or mobile cell phone reception, and then you learn or you learn very much, or know how the worth of a working product, and also with braking, steering, and so on. I think there are a lot of possibilities, but they have also to be tested in a proper way before it's handed over to the customer. And what you also have to keep in mind, few years ago, everybody was talking about level 5 autonomous driving. So you can lie in your car, sleep, read, work, whatever. Don't have to care about the traffic. And there was one assumption. And this was that all the vehicles on the road are doing or operated in level 5 in fully autonomous mode and communicating with each other and so on. But imagine if one of the people is taking his Golf Mark 1 out of the garage and driving through this, no communication to other cars, or if somebody is taking an old motorbike or whatever, then the system is turning chaotic, and it's not safe anymore. And so I think, or I could imagine, there are a lot of innovations in the pipeline. Sometimes it's also a decision on costs, which innovation will be then integrated in the next product, or sometimes also innovation is very expensive and maybe started in the top range of the model range first, and then later rolled out on others. I think there's a big pressure from the Chinese competitors, because they are bringing innovations. They have a very good connectivity in their vehicles and so on. I think it will be absolutely exciting what the next years will bring. And but sometimes also reduce to the max is also a good topic, not putting in everything. But let's step to the topic, what in a company or in an enterprise background innovation requires. And definitely, as mentioned, it requires creative guys. It requires also guys who know the market, who also screen the market, go on trade shows and so on, and look what will be available. It has to also to bear in mind what's the customer need, or what's the customer's wishes, and these can definitely also vary much when you're talking about in which region you are. So in Europe, nobody needed a selfie function in the vehicle. if you look in a Chinese car, every car has this selfie function, that a camera that in direction to the passengers and the driver enables them to do the selfies during the ride, and they love it, and they
Don't tell that to our drivers here. They will want to have it, actually.
Yeah, they will see it on the trade shows, or even you see more and more Chinese vehicles. But that's just a
I recorded once a video about tech leadership in my car while driving with my GoPro fixed mount, wasn't taking a look at the camera, and it was so polarizing. Some people said, "Oh, it's so cool that you're doing that while driving, and you can speak about these things while driving." And there were so many people taught me that you aren't allowed to do that. Actually, you are allowed to do that, but it's a little bit of a gray zone when happens something. It's one of the things, probably just as a side note, it is very, very unlikely that this is a good idea. But I think here in our regions like Germany, Europe, I think this is not the thing which is counted as something we want to see as innovation. I think that's my personal thing. I think it's something that is odd here, but as you said, in Asia, it's something which is definitely part of their living culture, right? Selfies everywhere, right?
Yeah. And this brings me to the point that if you're ramping up a team to do an innovation, you have to do it diverse. You need this all these views and perspectives inside, and then this can be orchestrated. You said the master of puppets. I think it's a kind of a, let's say, not master of puppets, because the puppets are controlled by the strips they are aligned to. Let's say kind of dirigent, or is it the English word for dirigent? I'm not sure.
I don't even know what that means in German.
Yeah, the guy who is, if you have orchestra, some musicians, and the
Let's
guy
call
with
it the
the stick, and
orchestrator.
Yeah, orchestrator. Yeah, thanks. And you need an orchestrator to keep it aligned, that everything is running in the right or in the same direction, not the right direction, but. And this is a special kind of leadership, I think. And also, when we come to leadership, always it's one of the crucial parts is to put aside your own ego. And if this orchestrator or the leader says, yeah, I know everything, but what the customers will be wishing in the next 5 years, then it's the wrong person, because you have to talk to the customers, you have to do market studies, you have to see what's available on the market, and then you have to be creative, or the team has to be creative, and find solutions for that.
I think that's a important point. The team needs to find solutions for that. Now I have more at the same time, so my brain needs to process them a little bit. But let's start with the one thing. Because I have a little bit like the question of Emir, and the thing which you just said is pretty much aligned. So how do you actually get out this innovation when you expect it from a team? Because most teams I personally met, they are not very innovative. So when I join a software company, I don't see innovation in teams, right? That is a little bit like what I see in teams, especially software teams, is like they have a ticket board, they have a deadline, get that done. We are too slow getting things done, and someone else is something they need to do. So they don't really do the innovation stuff. They are expected to do the innovation stuff, but what innovate actually is like just to optimize for getting a specific thing done, which is already defined. So you are not supposed to actually do more than this or other things. That is a big issue. And I think to the question of what Emir was asking is how do you foster a culture of innovation within a team, especially when people are naturally resistant to change? I don't think that people are naturally resistant to change in general. So we have resistance to change. Yes, of course, that is true. But the team itself has resistance to change because of other things out there, because we don't let them have in ideas. That is the point. So they have no room to actually be innovative. And I think that is the real issue behind that. And yes, of course, if you leave too much room, they won't change anyway, but give them reason to change. So just let them take part in the visionary stuff, give enough time and room, and you will see that people become innovative. Does that answer the question for you as well?
Yes. I would like to add one additional perspective, and I would say it's not always a good idea to give a team of serious developers the job to be innovative. So sometimes to be innovative, you need more space. You don't need or you can't have the pressure to deliver everything to be market ready in 4 weeks. Maybe in software it's a little bit different, but talking about hardware, it takes some steps, sometimes more, and then it's always good to orchestrate that in a, let's say, kind of a parallel route. That also you need a serious developer or somebody who brought products to serious already, acting as a, let's say, for example, as a doubter, to say won't work that way or whatever, because you have to have a discussion culture which is open and which is production inside the team, and this is also a kind of a leadership responsibility. So this orchestrator, this leader of that innovation team, has to do a proper kickoff, and that everybody inside team knows what's the expectations, what are their responsibilities, and what are they allowed to do. And so inside the team, I think it's like the typical team mindset. Let's say what I mean with typical is not that that mindset that is reality in most enterprises in the daily business, that everybody's just talking about or taking care for his silo, and this is my job, and I see there is something going wrong besides that, but that's not my responsibility. I'm keep my mouth shut and don't tell anything. If you are talking about a high performance team, everybody's taking care of achieving the vision, the mission together. And also, if the software guy sees something in the responsibility of the hardware guy which will not work, or where an issue will appear, he says, let's take a look on that, because everybody has the product in mind and not his own responsibility. And this is leadership, and this has to from day one on. There's no chance that kind of a silo or department thinking can be integrated in this team.
I think this interdisciplinary thing is a big challenge. So if we take a look into the companies out there, so when you join companies, teams are mostly only talking about what they do. They very rarely talk about, hey, we need to talk to the other. That's mostly in my industry what team leads do or try to be responsible for. Sometimes roles like project managers or scrum masters when they exist, to communicate with others and try to orchestrate, as you said in the beginning. I'm not a biggest fan of this in software development because today we have AI, and AI is very effective. Let's say when used correctly, when you have the right budget for that, it is extremely effective in modern code bases. In legacy code bases, maybe not so much, but in modern code bases, it's extremely effective. Which means that much of the actual hands-on work you don't really do anymore yourself. You just delegate that to a agent and multiple agent at the same time. But so you as a human being, you have much more time and you have, let's say, much more free space in your head as well to talk to other people. Yet there are still boundaries. We have still the issue of the industrial age that we departmentize everything. So we have the development department. Even in the development department, we have the front-end department, the infrastructure department, the back-end department. Then we have the design department. Then we have the testing department. We have so many departments that you don't really talk to others anymore because departments. But if you would get away from the departmentization and see that as one big team of 20 people, and you give them the chance to talk to each other when it's necessary, not every day, but when it's necessary, you actually remove exactly those issues. In my opinion, in software space, you can invoke a totally new innovation level with that, because innovation happens often between people, between ideas, between tasks. When people think about things and suddenly say, you know what, we could do it like this, let's test it. And you need to, this and this guy from the other departments. And if there are departments, there is an obstacle in the way between you and them. So you don't really do that. But if they're sitting next to you, even though they are a different type of work they do, just said like, hey, I have this idea, let's talk about this. And this is already in software space where there can already be happening something of significance in that moment. So it's not necessary to go through so many hoops and loops like in the automotive industry. I think it's not my specialty, but in software, you could change something overnight these days. So it becomes extremely important to remove all possible gaps in between people. So make the people one big thing again and let them work together as a team on a more natural basis than on an artificial basis, and reduce the hierarchy as well. That helps a lot. Let the managers not be managers anymore, but leaders in amongst the others, so that they, as a huge sub unit or of a larger company with more people in it, can actually make more decisions by themselves on a regular basis. That is how you will get the innovation, because especially with AI, when you can test hypotheses much quicker, then it's definitely something you should take a look into. Because of that.
Yeah, absolutely, and but also what you mentioned, it's always about the team and the team setting and the mindset inside the team. So if you don't give the team the right space to be innovative, then it won't work and it won't bring the big innovations. And what I think this comes more to the creativity part is also I experienced that it's absolutely beneficial to keep innovative teams in a kind of a innovative or creative space. So not sitting on their desk, but meeting in an area where you get an open mind. Maybe you have some possibilities to go outside. You have a little kind of a small workshop to do a mock-up of something, and to test it out, or 3D printer to look if something will work, and this is then absolutely beneficial, and this also melts the team together, that they are pooling all on the in the same direction, and in achieving the mission.
But often I think I had that today in a session with a team, is that there is still this idea of, if I do something which is not meant to be, or the main goal right now, then I do something bad. So I need to feel regret about this. It's like taking care for yourself, innovate. These kind of things, they are not necessarily the day's mission. It's like the day's mission is to get done this, and this because we are late, right? So if you don't work on these, you feel bad. And I think what you just said is absolutely correct, but it triggers in me that I hear so many SMB CEOs, CTOs saying, no, that's not okay. We need to get the stuff done. We can innovate later. Don't do that right now. So, it's like this. So I don't think that we have cultures out there which are so compatible with the idea of innovation. I don't think it is extremely plenty out there. I don't know how it is on different continents. In Germany, innovation is something that only privileged people in companies are allowed to have on mainstream, and that is sad. And I can imagine that it is in vast parts of Europe the same. I know that it is different in America, at least in the companies I was working with. Widely, so some are bad as well, but not as bad as the average company here in Germany. And I think that is something, maybe the message today goes out to the leadership people, the leadership itself, the management, that giving the people room to breathe, room to actually take ownership, and not just writing ownership on the wall, because people don't understand ownership. I see that every time again that you say ownership, they recognize this word, but they don't really know what that means, because it doesn't reflect anything you do with them in their daily life. So giving them, let's say, 10 tasks to do, exactly how the acceptance criteria is everything, that is not ownership, that is delegation. And they need to have the room to make their own decisions, and decide how they spend the time, how much time they spend. They even need to decide about the timing of everything you do. If you don't give them power over the timing, they will never have the time to actually innovate, because innovation doesn't happen while they pump out stuff you tell them to. It is the time in between, right? When they go on, let a team of say on Friday morning, you know what? Today we do the necessary things until 11, and then to lunch we go out for 3 hours and then off. There's no work today anymore, right? We go out together, we talk about that, we walk in nature, we have some drinks, we get into a cafe, we drink something together. They're all on the bill of the company, right? You will go home with so many ideas how we can improve as a team. You will be baffled about that. Believe me, it's exactly like I said, because the people suddenly, they are defocused from work, and they can actually have this little tiny innovation focuses here and there, test this hypothesis. How would you like that? And you get this new idea, and the other person jumps in and say, yeah, we could do this, and let's try this on Monday, something like that. And then maybe we can't do that, and the team lead actually needs to step up then and say, you know what, I talk with the other leads, maybe we can make that happen. But let the people have those ideas in a legitimate way. That is important. to give them space where they can actually practice that. That's
Yeah.
something I would give as advice.
Yeah, but what you said before, that some companies are saying we don't have time to innovate, we have to deliver. And yeah, that's especially also my expertise, how you can combine both. And if you don't want to dive too much into details now, but I think the necessity about being innovative is absolutely clear. If you were maybe let's think of the company called Fischer, with the screws and Fischerbügel and so on, the screws and bolts, and they have a huge number of patents and patents, and they are renowned as an innovative company because they are, or they did in the past, and so I think that this is also building the brand, and if you have the chance to stand as an innovative brand, or if you have the chance to stand as a company which only delivers what's necessary, they deliver in time, they deliver in quality, yes, absolutely fair. But I think from a business side or business perspective, sooner or later you will be explored or challenged by the customers or by the purchasing departments of your customers, and you have to adapt your prices, and then you only have the chance to be innovative and keep high prices, or you have to compete with cheaper competitors, and the only way is to do the prices down. And so I think from an entrepreneurial perspective, innovation is absolutely crucial, and you don't need big departments of people only doing innovative things. And
I agree.
so one of my customers a few years ago said, "Yeah, innovation is like playing under time pressure." But and it's a little bit of truth in this word. So playing, like you mentioned, you don't have to be stuck to your desk, to your computer, and deliver every hour a solution or a result. But under the bottom line, you have to bring it on the road, and you have to bring it to the customers. And hopefully, before somebody in the team talked also to the customers that they want this piece you delivered or you developed as an innovation.
I think that we could take a look into gamification as well to say how could we implement innovation in daily life of a company and provide a value for it, because innovation is very hard to grasp in value. So what is innovation? How do you say that the KPI for innovation was good or not? It is very hard to track, right? So
Yeah.
if an engineer in a, doesn't matter in which industry, innovates something, and that becomes a huge improvement of what exactly? More income, better experience. How do you measure it? Was it actually this person or something different? And I think maybe it is not that important to measure it in that way as it is that it actually happens. So when innovation happens, things moving forward. And I think that we should take a look into let's say value scoring systems. Like there's a good book like The Score, where you have value mapping and the value gathering and these kind of aspects. Maybe a team should be asked on a regular basis, how innovative were you today, this week? What have you done outside of the box? Right? And see this as something. So we have done this, we have tried this, we have set up this hypothesis, we built this prototype at the 3D printer. And really reward these kind of playful activities
Mhm.
more than actually saying that is a waste of time. What are you doing there? Be serious, blah, 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 blah. Right? Because in reality, yes, we have this external constraints. We need to get done something. But for that, we need to be innovative. So if we have the people and they work anyway, so provide them, first of all, the time and a structure where it is rewarded to be playful around things, to
Yeah.
let them try out things. And that is actually a good thing to do and not a tolerated thing. No, it's not tolerated. It is for the company. So let them do that. It doesn't make sense to act like it is something they know what you can
Mhm.
do, that I'm a good manager here, it's allowed. But when you are done with that stuff, get back to work. No, don't do that. See innovation as something important, and you will see that people won't go and say only innovation is important, because you don't want, as I said, you don't want to have every department or every team as the big innovators doing only innovation, right? So what you do have is a good mix of production and innovation at the same time. So let them be innovative while they are actually producing stuff, and that is the actual art around that, and is very well doable. It is nothing where you need to say that that's an absolute impossible task. No, it is not. And if you have just some deadlines because you are overdue with so many things,
Mhm.
get over this overdue stuff and then take a look into it. Overdue with something is not a reason to not become a balanced company with innovation, recreation, and all the other aspects as well.
Yeah.
Because the reason why you are overdue is probably because you are not innovative and you don't provide time for recreation for the people. So the people don't have the extra time to defocus and fix things in the progress itself. Sometimes you need to work on your business, on your production, not only in the production. That is what I learned from my coaches back then when it comes to entrepreneurial stuff. They've literally forced me to stop work inside my business and sometimes work on my business. Shout out,
Yeah.
George. Hello, George.
Yeah, absolutely right. And I think what's also one topic that you have to bear in mind is that not every person inside your company is the person who is capable to be innovative. So there are also engineers or workers who only want to deliver. They need more narrow constraints in their daily work, and not this, let's say, broad driveway that you need to be innovative. And but that's fair. Every an enterprise needs both of these types of personalities, and it's the it's the leader who has to put the right person together for the right topics, and then you can be innovative, and on the other hand you can deliver and you can be successful with that.
Good.
Yeah.
So we are getting to the end of this show,
Yeah.
which was actually a cool show. I mean, it was really interesting. I really liked how we made a deep dive into the automotive industry, because that was actually an interesting one. Thank you for that. That was cool.
Thanks. Yeah, you're welcome.
So, anything you want to tell the people?
Yeah, like take care of the description of the live stream: leadership as the foundation for innovation. It always begins with the leadership. So you have to define the rules, the working model. You have to staff the right team, and nobody should be too much ego driven. I think it's normal that everybody is a little bit ego driven, but working together in a team doesn't matter if it's innovation or another team. You have to put your ego aside and put yourself into a position to serve the team or to serve the mission, to achieve the mission.
Now you said ego and self in the same sentence, so I, as a Stoic, need to react now.
Yeah.
So it was, first of all, absolutely right. And you said the correct thing, that every one of us does have ego, because ego is part of us. It is what the subconscious mind, what we can see from the subconscious mind. The point is how we act upon that. So do we act as a selfish, egoistic person, or are we seeing what our ego want to tell us, but we decide to act differently? And we actually say, I want to tell them that they really need to get into work now, but I understand that, the system here really doesn't work, and we need to find ways around that. And I need to trust them. And saying that I need to trust them means, in that very same moment, that I maybe have made mistakes or even failed. That is a form of admitting in that moment that I was doing something wrong and not adequate. And accepting that is the starting point of overcoming your own ego and say, guys, can you do it better than I did? And having that as a leader is extremely valuable. And in my opinion, a prerequisite to actually be a leader. Because if you cannot overcome your own challenges, your own obstacles, cannot admit your own mistakes, why should others do that? Because you're the role model for the people, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, great.
Thanks, everybody, for listening, for tuning in today. We have that every Friday, 14 CEST. And in 3 weeks, we don't have that, because we have a live hike in the Black Forest. You had this example during the stream with a dark forest with a car. We stuck there. I'm living in such a forest, so I'm knowing what I'm talking about. You need to have solid cars here, otherwise you really get afraid in the night.
Is that the reason why you're using a camper?
That's the reason, because even if my car break down, we can just sleep there.
You're at home.
I'm at home anyway. Actually, that there is some truth to it. There's some reality in what you just said. It's a good feeling, because I have everything packed in backpacks with me.
Okay.
I have an office here. That's the only physical asset I have. Everything else, I could work from everywhere. I could stream from everywhere. I could do everything I do from everywhere, except having a office, a studio like this. And my camp is built like that as well. So I could use that as a driving office. We could use that as a driving home, just in case I'm one of these persons.
Yeah,
I'm prepared.
Oh, that's innovative. Yeah, thanks, Adrian. Thanks, everybody who joined today. And we close in time today. And keep tuned in. Don't miss the next live streams we will do, and also the hike we are performing will be announced, I think, on Monday or within the next days, and will be a cool event also. First time in person, and so be curious and stay tuned.
Thanks a lot, everyone. Goodbye.